Good evening, everyone. Dr. Tony McNeil here, bringing you greetings from Atlanta, Georgia. And I am here for another pop up conversation. You all know that from time to time, I do these conversations to heighten awareness and about job opportunities that are available, especially with the churches that I am consulting with. And tonight, I will be bringing on a couple of folks from the NETT Church here in the metropolitan Atlanta area in Lilburn, Georgia, to talk about the part-time modern worship leader position that they have at the NETT Church. If you know of a music minister or a church musician or someone that is looking for a part-time job leading worship at a church in the metro Atlanta area, please tag them. Please let them know that this broadcast is on, and we invite them to become a part of the conversation. As you are signing on, if you would just say hello and let me know where you're signing in from. I see Jermaine Edie from Facebook joining us on Facebook. Thank you so much. He's watching from Memphis, Tennessee. Welcome, Jermaine. And if there are any others, you all just feel free to say hello in the comments and let me know where you're joining from. Would be great. I hope everybody's having a great day. I do want to remind everybody about the Sacred Soul Saturday event that is going to be coming up August the 22nd. As you all know, it is a benefit. It's a brunch. It's a birthday celebration in honor of my 55th. And I want to remind all of you to get your tickets if you have not done so already. It's not too late. We still have some seats left. And I want to encourage you to visit any of my social media platforms to click on the link for your tickets. Okay. Sacred Soul Saturday is happening August 22nd. Actually, is 60 days from today. It's 2 months away. And so I want to strongly encourage you to get your tickets if you're coming. Please, please, please get your tickets. Get your tickets. The last day to buy tickets, purchase tickets, will be August 1st. So no tickets will be sold after then. So I strongly encourage you to get your tickets as soon as possible. All right. Let's go ahead and jump into our conversation for tonight. I'm going to bring our friends from the NETT Church to the stage so we can begin this edition of Pop-Up Conversation. Good evening, everybody. How are you?
Hi.
Hi, great.
Very, very happy to have you have with us Nikki Cook, Tim Gustafson, and Pastor Nora. Thank you all so much for being here to have this conversation with me about the position that you have available at your church, the NETT Church. And I do want to shout out Jehu Hensels for the work that he has done in engaging me as your consultant. And it's been a joy to work with him and meet all of you in the process. So let's dive in. So the NETT Church is looking for a part-time modern worship leader. I want you to tell me a little bit about your expectations and your vision for this position. I want to start with you, Pastor Nora. What is it that you hope this person will bring to the life of the church?
And I'm going to say a little bit about the church to frame the answer.
Okay,
the NETT Church is a multicultural, multi-ethnic church in Gwinnett County. And Gwinnett County is it's very diverse. It's the most diverse county in the Southeast. And the vision of the NETT Church is to represent, to reflect the community, to celebrate the diversity of the community. And for that reason, the modern worship leader It needs to be a person that that can celebrate the diversity, that is able to um, to learn about different rhythms and different styles, different genre, and incorporate that, and even different languages. So it's creating a worship service that that is, parallel to what the church aspires to be.
Wonderful. And tell us, Reverend Nora, what is your current role at the church?
I am currently the lead pastor at the NETT Church.
Wonderful. Okay. Tim, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do at the church and what your vision or expectations of this particular role.
Okay. So for the last roughly 5 years, I've been the music director for the Berkmar campus of the NETT Church, and am stepping away from that role, not for any negative reasons at all whatsoever. There's nothing nicer than feeling like you're the right person in the right place at the right time, and that's how things were for a number of years. But life is kind of, for me and my family, has kind of progressed and changed, and it was just pretty obvious a few months ago that the time is right for somebody else to step in and assume this responsibility. So my role at the NETT Church is, this is my home church now, and this is, it was my home church for the last 5 years. That's where we go. But right now I don't have an official role other than that. I'm here to kind of talk a little bit about the way that we've managed music and worship in the last few years. I'll say right up front that I am always happy to share with the way that we've done things, but I'm very open-minded to hear about people that have a different approach. And so what am I hoping for, since this is, my home church and where I'll be worshiping with my family? My hope is that it'll be the same as it has been for the last few years in this regard, that, for the last several years, we've had a lot of great musicians in the program, volunteering, very, very talented people. But in general, I would say we will always prioritize sincerity and a genuine worshipfulness over, polish and, who's got the slickest showbiz presentation. All of those things are great. You want to have a really high level of, expected level of excellence. We do aspire for that, but more than that, we want to make sure that the people that are at the front of the building, maybe on stage facing the rest of the congregation, that they're being as worshipful as we would hope for everybody else in the building to be as well. So that's what I hope to see, because I'll be sitting in the seats worshiping, and I just want it to be good.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your service and for that response. Nikki, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do at the NETT Church, and what your expectations of or your vision or your hopes for the person who comes who assumes this role.
I am a musician. I've been playing for a little over a year, I think, maybe more than that, actually. And I'm also on the board of the NETT Church. And my hope for this is that we'll find, much like Tim said, someone who has a genuine love of Jesus that wants to come and worship, and someone who loves the diversity of our congregation as much as we do, and can bring that energy to it. We have a really delightful mix of people who are musicians and singers in our church, and they are happy to try almost anything. So they really are up to try anything and come prepared. They're very dedicated people, which is just an amazing blessing to have that many musicians that have been cultivated as part of our congregation. And we have a wonderful worship service in our modern service, and I hope to find someone who can continue and expand that and grow it in new ways that all feed the health and experience of worshiping Jesus in our church.
Wonderful, wonderful. Pastor Nora, I want to come back to you. And you've given us a brief synopsis of the multicultural aspect of the NETT Church. Can you tell us a little bit more about how the church came about, a little bit about its history, and the fact that NETT is an acronym, right? And what that acronym stands for?
Yeah, the NETT Church started as a church plant about 11 years ago, then later merged with existing churches. So that it has a little bit of both in its DNA, the innovation and energy and speed of a church plant, as well as the tradition and legacy of existing churches that have been around for a very, very long time. The NETT stands for Nations Experiencing Transformation Together, and also a play on words with the county of Gwinnett.
Gotcha.
We currently have 4 campuses in the county, and the modern worship happens in the campus in Lilburn, in Gwinnett County.
Where are the other campuses located?
We have one in Lawrenceville, and one in the city of Norcross, and one in Norcross that is not in the city, unincorporated Norcross.
Wonderful. And how long have you been serving there at the NETT Church?
I've been serving at the NETT for 6 years.
6 years. Wonderful. And this is a church that is affiliated with the United Methodist Church.
Correct.
Right.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. 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 Tim, I want to come back to you in terms of what the job entails. I mean, you've been serving in the position as an interim in this particular on this particular campus. Can you talk a little bit about the musical capacities, that this person needs to bring in order to be successful in this role?
Okay. I think first things first. I think a person would be happiest coming in if they know that they are well equipped to lead a worship service just on their own should the need arise. We do have a fantastic group of volunteers, but as it is, all of our supporting musicians are all volunteers. So myself, I don't sing at all. You don't want to hear me try. I can play a number of instruments, but in my role at this, I've always been kind of at the mercy of, do we have someone who can help lead worship vocally? And that's not ideal. So I think somebody will be very successful if they, can do both roles, instrumentally and vocally. Beyond that, the way our music ministry works is fairly unique. I've never been a part of anything quite like it because as in alignment with what Nora just talked about with the multicultural diversity, we try to design musical experiences and worship opportunities that reflect a number of different cultures and backgrounds. And I'm very happy to say that the congregation reflects the county, reflects the vision. There's a lot of diversity. You can aspire for that, but I'm happy to say that the population is reflecting that. And as such, our volunteer team reflects that. So you have a group of people coming from different backgrounds with different levels and styles of musical experience. And sometimes an interesting challenge is figuring out how do you make all of that mesh in a way that is pleasant to listen to. And the way that I've always sort of explained it is it's almost like you've got a group of friends who go to the park. One person's a really good football player. One guy's a really good basketball player. One person is really good at playing chess. One person is a great swimmer. And then we're all going to get together and play kickball, So it's like in a sense, everybody has to bend a little bit towards, maybe something they're less comfortable with, and learn and grow more about a particular style of music. But happy to say, it works. Sometimes I'll talk with other musician friends who haven't seen it happen, and they say, I don't think that would work. It does work, because of the approach that everybody has coming in. You have to be open-minded, flexible, and then sometimes you have to be more creative than you were expecting to be, because we do get a lot of ideas from the pastors, from our creative leaders saying, why don't we try to do this? And because our view of everything is so broad, and we try to be so encompassing and to be intentional about reflecting different ways to worship, no matter who you are, no matter what your experience is, you will be presented with ideas that, you've never done before. And so you get to figure out, how can I do that? And I'm happy to say that the congregation is happy with that, very accepting of that. I know there have been times that we've presented a song very much trying to represent a certain style that maybe we did a B plus job of representing that style. Nobody complained and said, you didn't really do that the way it's supposed to be. It's a very, very accepting and open congregation as well, which is important just to, if we're going to try to musically represent worship in so many different ways, because nobody's good at everything.
Absolutely. So. Thank you for that. So it's very clear that you need that this congregation is made up of a demographic that represents a variety of different cultures and backgrounds. Perhaps some church and non-church folks are in the mix as well, and someone having the pastoral heart as well as the musical gifting to bring all of that together in a way that promotes community and as you said, the diversity of gifts that are represented in your volunteers. So thank you for that, Tim. Nikki,
if I may add something, I think the congregation and the modern service don't expect a performance like when we go to a concert.
Yes.
They come to worship and they come open to be led to worship, and trying new things and trying new rhythms, but it does focus on worship, not on a concert.
Not on a
concert. Which sometimes that can be a big difference.
Yes, absolutely, Pastor Nora. Thank you for sharing that. Nikki, can you speak to some of the non-musical attributes that this modern worship leader should have in an effort to be successful in this worship community?
That's a great question. I think in watching us over the last couple of years, I think one of the most important elements of it is that Tim mentioned flexibility, right? You walk in with kind of a plan about what you think is going to happen. And if someone is open to hearing how the group sounds and kind of leading through that, it's just a really wonderful experience. I think having experience leading volunteers is really, really important, because if you've never led volunteers, it can be stressful, right? If you have a really strong picture in your head about how it's going to sound, these are all people who love to play, but they're all coming from they're coming from work, they're coming from everywhere they've been. And someone who can roll with that and really enjoy the experience of creating together will have just a fabulous time. Someone who has a really rigid view about what's going to happen is going to be stressed out completely. I think the thing I've enjoyed most about watching Tim is that he's always asking the group, what did you guys think? What did you hear? What do you need more of? What feels right? And it's a really collaborative group. And to Nora's point, the beauty of it is the the congregation is there to worship with you. It's not about having to perform. I've never felt like it's a performance. It's always about a worship experience. And so I think someone who's worked with lots of different kinds of musical talents and instruments and open to ideas will have a really huge blessing that they'll receive from this kind of an experience.
Wow. Thank
There
you.
have been, if I could jump in for
Go
a
ahead.
second.
Go ahead, Tim.
Just to kind of reinforce or underline what Nikki just said, there have been some times when we'd be getting together on a Wednesday night to get ready for the worship service on Sunday. And what I've said to the group, and I really do mean it, is that like, it's really exciting that maybe this group of 5 people sound the way they do, because what they're bringing to this music, it's a unique combination that probably will never be heard again. You know, it's like, because this person comes at it from this direction, this other person comes at it from this direction. And it's like, you know, that's not to say we don't have any direction. We do try to, you know, land on the same spot so that we all sound like we're playing the same music together. But it really is a unique pleasure to get to work with, work in a group that's like that, where it is every time you get together, it's unique, and we're happy about that. And then I'll always tell people too, it's like, you know, you may not immediately, like with the volunteers, you may not immediately have a chance to do what it is that you do best. But if you're patient, there will come a moment when we need exactly what it is that you know you do well. So that's kind of the approach that we've taken.
I love that. I love that. Anything from you, Nora?
I was thinking also that usually the sermon series are planned way ahead of time, so there is a year-long plan already in terms of the themes, and they may be changed once in a while, but usually we follow through, and the sermon series go usually throughout 1 month. And there are also some special Sundays, of course, that every church have, Christmas, Easter. We do a big deal about Pentecost and World Communion Sunday in October. Those Sundays that highlight the diversity of the church and of the NETT.
Wonderful. And speaking of the diversity, can you give us a sense of the different cultures that are represented in the congregation? Any of you? Nora?
I was counting the other day, and we have probably about 20 countries represented. And so several countries in Central and South America, Mexico, several countries in Africa, we have Korean, a couple of Vietnamese, even Europe. So it's just about that. And people speak English, Spanish, French, Korean. I was surprised on Christmas Eve this last Christmas Eve. I don't always know everything that's going on, but this last Christmas Eve we sang a silent night in 7 different languages.
Wow.
Which was really, really special.
That was very cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just
I don't
pulling
know
from
how
the people
Tim
in the
made that
congregation.
happen.
Yeah, just
Just pulling from the people in the congregation
It was
that
beautiful.
knew how to do that. So.
That indeed is very, very special. For those of you that may be joining, I am here talking with Pastor Nora, Nikki, and Tim, who are representatives from the NETT Church. And those of you that follow the website, my job board, or any of my social media platforms know that I promote a lot of jobs and positions in terms of worship leadership, music ministry, music administration, those kinds of things. And the NETT Church has a wonderful opportunity for a part-time modern worship leader. And we're here just having conversation to bring more awareness about that position and to make any of you who may have seen the job description a little bit more informed about it, about the culture of the church, the nature of the church. And for those of you that have not seen the job description, I would encourage you to go to drtonymcneil.com/jobs, or you could go to the NETT Church website to see the full job description for this particular position. And I want to pivot from that, you all, and talk about what does someone need to do to apply for this job. And besides, go to the website that's listed there and read the job description, number one. But what are the kinds of things that you're looking for in terms of an application? Anybody?
So we'd love to have your resume. We'd love to have, if you have a video of worship you led or what of you playing, that would be really helpful. If you have a philosophy of worship, how you approach it, that would be super helpful. We would love to know more about you and kind of what your experience has been and what you love to do. And I think those things would help us a lot.
And those things are listed on the last page of the job description. And there's a specific email address where you are requested to send all of your materials. So make sure that you get those materials in as soon as possible. And I know that they would very much love to have as many applications as possible for this, but at the same time are going to be very diligent in discerning persons for this particular position. I know, Pastor Nora, that you alluded to the fact that there is a lot of planning that goes involved, that is involved with preparing for worship. You talked about there being a full calendar year of themes and sermon series. I want to ask Tim, from a musical standpoint, what's involved with that kind of preparation?
So it's an interesting, it seems like my answer to every one of your questions is that's an interesting challenge that whoever gets to do this gets to live with, but it's not an unpleasant challenge. You do have to kind of create you have to find the sweet spot when it comes to preparation, because with the ideas sometimes don't always come as early as you'd like. Sometimes, one of the great things is we've got a great team of musicians. We keep mentioning that, but we have 4 piano players, we have multiple drummers, we have several guitar players, and they're all different. They're all very good at what they do, but they're all different. And so your availability of your volunteers, if you remember my last response, this will make sense. The combinations can kind of do some different things, and some combinations work well in one way and not so well in another. So you do have to be forward thinking, and you've got all the information you need to get started planning very early. You know what the scriptures are that we'll be focusing on, what are the themes, and so you can start putting your plan in place several weeks in advance. But as you get closer and closer and closer to the actual service, you're not going to be very happy if you're not the sort of person who's okay sort of adjusting your plan. Maybe plan A isn't what you end up doing. Maybe you do plan B, maybe you do plan C. And you have to approach your job with the equal amount of excitement and enthusiasm and happiness and energy, even if like you had one plan and then you adjusted to another. That said, there is a lot of volunteer management, and one of the things that I think is most important working with the volunteers, just to be respectful of them, is to create a framework that is predictable, that they can rely on, that they know we're going to rehearse at this day, and then I'm going to get my follow-up materials, or I'm going to know what the plan is by this day in the week. And then, and that can look 100 different ways. I know how I did it, and I'm, when the person is selected, I'll be happy to share with them everything about the way that I did it. And take from it what you will. But I think the ability for our volunteers to rely on it and know this is the way that it works, that works for retaining your volunteers. You know, nobody likes to be in an environment of chaos for more than a few minutes. And so I say the same thing with our volunteer musicians as well, just in terms of their preparation for like our first rehearsals is like, learn the music, come prepared, but don't come overly prepared, because we're probably going to make some adjustments. We're going to shift some things around. So if you're wired in a way to where you can't do that, you're not going to be happy for very long, you know? But most people, I think, once they experience it, really enjoy it. So, you know, we typically will rehearse the way that we've been doing it really is we have a rotation of musicians. We have a different band or combination of musicians every week of the month. So really, I usually see this combo about once a month. You know, we'll get together on the Wednesday beforehand, work through all the music, and then we'll have a run through again on Sunday. So it happens pretty quickly. You know, the groups do learn and work very, very fast. We don't really, except for things like Easter and Christmas and other larger services, we usually don't spend weeks and weeks and weeks in preparation for a service. We usually have a few days, and you know, and if something goes really well, then we'll do it again in a couple of weeks, and it'll be even better.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Anything from you, Nikki, in terms of the process for preparing for worship?
I mean, I think the thing I always loved about what Tim did was he invited you in the app. So I knew when I was going to play, and I knew practice was always this day before. And the music was always up at least a month, at least a week in advance, so you could practice. And I got better at knowing just to come kind of mostly prepared and then to be flexible, right? So it was just really wonderful because you'd hear it live. You'd be like, oh, let's tweak this. Let's change this. This might sound better. And you play with it a little bit. And that creative part of the process was always very fun because it's very different. The sound is very different when you're with a full band than when you're with a more acoustic band than when, you know, it's very, very, you know, when it has a totally different feel. So it's a really nice blend. And if you're good with that kind of in the moment, see how you feel and make adjustments, you'll really love this process.
And another thing that I think is important to understand that I'm happy to say that the congregation will roll with us when we do this, but from week to week, the style varies broadly. Like one week we may have a very loud kind of contemporary rock band, you know, with drums and electric guitars and lots of singers and keyboards. And the next week it may be one acoustic guitar and a piano. And maybe one week we have a lot of Spanish language songs. And then one week we may lean very, very heavily into like the gospel traditions. One week, I mean, this is the modern worship position, but we do a fair number of hymns if the occasion calls for it. So I like that. It was, like I say, it's been a great 5 years for me getting to do all of these different things. But that's fairly unique. And it is nice for me that, you know, if on the rare occasion, if I talk to someone from the congregation and they maybe didn't like the music all that much that week, it's like, well, you know what the good news is? Next week it's going to be completely different. So, you know, you've always got that in your back pocket. But yeah, and the congregation has come to expect that as well, that from week to week, intentionally and by design, it sounds very, very different. So that's a unique thing.
And the preacher for that Sunday may send a message. I'm preaching on this. Can we incorporate this particular song? So yeah, that happens as well. And sometimes it's possible, and sometimes it isn't. But
Good.
it is usually possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've pulled it off most of the time.
It sounds like a lot of creativity and imagination and fun can happen in this space. For those of you that are joining me or may have come in a little late, these are representatives from the NETT Church from Lilburn, Georgia. They have a position that is available, a position for a part-time modern worship leader. the NETT Church in Lilburn, Georgia, and they are looking for folks to come and apply. Folks who have sensibilities for working in a multi-ethnic worship setting and celebrating the gifts and diversity of volunteer singers and musicians, and working collaboratively with a planning team. This is a great opportunity for someone of that caliber. And if you are interested in learning more about this position, go to the website that is streaming at the bottom, or scrolling at the bottom of your screen. It's a tongue twister. drtonymcneil.com/jobs to read the full job description and to apply. And so we want to ask that you tag people. If you know of someone who's a good fit for this job, tag them in the comments so that they can come back and watch this broadcast. Friends, we are at our time. And before we go, I want to circle back to each of you for a final word or a statement or anything that you want to say about the position, or to encourage folks to apply. So I'll start with you, Nikki. Any final word?
It is a really wonderful congregation. It's very warm and very welcoming, and it's such a great, positive place to be. And the way that they approach ministry at the NETT has been really dynamic for my family. We've loved it. And I think this role would be a real blessing for the right person.
Tim?
I think it's unique. I think, I'll be honest, it's a lot of fun. I know that's not why you necessarily get into a role in ministry, just to have fun. But, the nice bonus is it is really fun. And, I think it does require in the right now, while you're considering whether or not you want to apply, and throughout your time with this, if you end up being the person doing it, it requires you to be very open-minded and sometimes kind of fly by the seat of your pants, but not because it's not organized. You can definitely create a great system to where it's reliable. It can work well with your life. It's not chaotic in a bad way. It's chaotic in a good way at times. But and then one of the nice things I'll just say about this is I've been doing it for 5 years and I'm not intending to go anywhere. So I am a resource to whoever gets selected to just share what I've learned over the last several years about how to do this job. And again, for what my advice is worth, take it or leave it. But I do think it's a resource that's available there for you.
Thank you so much. Pastor Nora.
I would say that if you're interested in being part of a church that is striving to be a church that reflects the community, the diverse community in Gwinnett County, and a church that wants to celebrate the different cultures where we come from, and open spaces for people from different backgrounds to also worship in their language or in their style. It's always striving to do it better, and it's a great place to worship together.
Wonderful. Thank you all for your time and for your presence and for all that you've offered to give light or shed light on the NETT Church and this modern worship leader position. Again, friends, go to drtonymcneil.com/jobs to see the job description in detail, and also to find the process in which to apply, which you'll find on the final page of the job description. And I want to strongly encourage you to submit your applications, or share this information, share this video, share the link to the job description to folks that you know who may be a good fit for this worship environment. All right. Thank you all for joining. And until the next pop-up conversation, you guys take care. All right.
Thank
And
you.
friends, thank you all.
Be well. Bye.
Thank you so much. And you all hang on before, even though I'm going to stop the stream, I want to speak to you before you leave. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much for being here.
Here to show up and show out. 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 Yeah. Here to show up and show out. 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 Yeah. They cannot turn a notch. Do a lot. Move a lot. You can see it in my eyes if you knew or not. Since a young teen, it's been do or die.